Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how you can create this animation in Blender 3.3 Alpha. You can get the Blender version through the link in the description. So let's get started. First let's hit Shift A and add a plane. Go to Geometry Nodes and close this window. Click on New and delete the group input. Add a volume cube. Now plug the volume into the geometry and add a volume to mesh node. Plug this in here. You also need a wave texture. Plug that into the density. Set it from bands to rings and add a mask wave texture. Plug this one into the vector and this one duplicate it and plug it into the scale. We also need a gradient texture. Set it to spherical and plug it into the vector here. Now here open the timeline and set the scale to 0. Keyframe the scale and go to frame 250 and set it to 5. Keyframe it again. Add a subdivision surface. Set it to 2 and also a set shade smooth. The last node that we need is a set material node. Put that here. Go to the material properties and click on new and select the material. Go to layered node and add an empty plane axis. And let's disable the plane for now. You can go up here and select the cursor here, and when you deselect this, as you can see, we can't select it anymore. Now click on X-ray, select the empty and duplicate it, press GX and move it over here. Now shift select this empty and Ctrl P, parent to object. And now if we select this empty, the other one will move along with the rotation and location. We are going to use this empty as the focus object for the camera. So let's turn off X-ray. Go into side view and enable this again. Now add a camera. Ctrl-Alt-0 to go into camera view. And let's press G, Z, Z to move it on the local Z axis. Press Ctrl and click on the empty, Ctrl P, object. Just so you know, if you are in this window and want to parent something, you need to select the object and Ctrl P then. And if you are on this screen, you need to press Shift and select it. Now select the empty. Make sure that you select the one that is in the middle and go into camera view again. Make sure you are on frame 1 and let's press I, rotation, and go to frame 50 for example. Press R twice to rotate like this. Press I to keyframe the rotation and go to frame 100. Again rotate it. I'm going to position it here. I, rotation, and go to frame 150. Now rotate it again. Press I again, rotation. Go to frame 200. Again do the same. Press I again, rotation. Go to frame 250 and do the same again. Select the plane and go to shading. Go to rendered view. I'm going to use cycles with this HDRI, as always the link to that is in the description. Let's go to the render properties and go to film and make it transparent. Multiply the max samples 128 times 3. Now go here to color management and set the look to very high contrast. Delete the principled BizDev and add a subsurface scattering. Plug it into the surface. Let's also add a mix shader. and add a glass shader. Plug it into the bottom. Now we need a mask wave texture. Plug the height into the factor. Also add a color ramp. Bring the white in, like this. Set the mask wave texture to 4D and add a Voronoi texture. Plug the distance into the W and let's change the scale. I'm going to change it to somewhere around here. So I ended up setting it to 7.7. Let's also bring back the white a little bit. For the subsurface scattering I'm going to choose a blue color, and for the glass a red color. Back in layout mode, go up here and enable depth of field. Select the camera, enable depth of field, and here select empty 001. Now set the f-stop to 0.7 and the blades to 16 and go to rendered view. I will add a point light and set the radius to 1. Set the power to 10,000 and let's make it red. Keyframe the power, go to frame 1 and set it to 0 and keyframe it again. I ran a test render with 384 samples, but I wasn't satisfied with that. So I set it to 1152 samples, but you of course don't have to do this. In the output properties I'll use 30 FPS and let's select an output folder. I already created one for that. And I'm going to call the images render. If you put an underscore after the name, Blender is going to automatically assign numbers to the frames. Now let's click on accept. Make sure you are using JPEG with the quality set to 100%. One thing that I also use is denoise. I am using the optics denoiser. You can only use it if you have an NVIDIA GPU, otherwise you can also use OpenImage denoise. Make sure the passes are set to albedo and normal. Go to compositing and enable use nodes, and go here and enable denoising data to get these outputs here. Add a denoise node set to accurate and then plug it into the image. Save again and press Ctrl F12 to render the animation. Once it's done rendering, you can close this window and go to video editing, hover over the file location and press Ctrl C to copy. Make sure you're on frame 1. Now set the file format to FFmpeg video and the encoding container to MPEG 4. Also go to the output quality and set it to high quality. Now here hit Shift A and image sequence, and if you aren't directed to this where you have the folder here, you can just copy the file location like I said and paste it in here and delete the name. Now press A, enter, and now we have the animation here. Now to turn this into a loop, let's go to frame 250 and let's go over here. Set the end frame to 500, go to frame 251, hit Shift A again, image sequence, press A and sort, click on modified date. Hit enter, and now just to be sure hit Shift A again, because the next time you open Blender, Blender will still sort the images by modified date and we don't want it. Now click on cancel and go to render animation. So that's it with the tutorial. I just wanted to let you know that you can get the project file on Gumroad for $1 through the link in the description. I hope you liked the tutorial and I'll see you next time.